Hello, this is Dr. Rodi, and in this video, I'm going to show how to use Excel 2010 to do an ANOVA two-factor with replication. And in this problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, is there an effect due to the site, and is there an effect due to the type of treatment? And the data set I have here is data set 9 from your homework, the popular tree data. I think in your homework you're instructed to use year 2, so I'm going to use year 1 for my example, which is also the examples in the textbook. So my null hypothesis is going to be that there is no effect between the two sites. In other words, there is no effect for the factor of site. And one of your problems it asks you to test if there is an effect of site, the other an effect of treatment. So if my null is that there is no effect from site, then the alternative would be there is an effect due to site. Now, in the other problem, you're asked to determine if there's an effect due to type of treatment. So your null hypothesis would be there is no effect due to the factor treatment. Your alternative would be there is an effect due to the factor treatment. Alternatively, you could state the hypotheses in means. You could say that the mean weight for the sites is the same for both sites, or mu1 equals mu2. And the alternative would be that the mean is not the same. And then for the treatments, you would say that the mean is the same for all of them for the null hypothesis. And for the alternative hypothesis, you would say not all the means are the same. At least one of them is going to be different. Okay, let's get down to the calculations. What I want to do is hit the Data tab and then hit Data Analysis and pick ANOVA two-factor with replication. ANOVA two-factor with replication. The reason being is that for site 1, I have 5 different values. And for site 2, I have 5 different values. So I've replicated the data. I've done it multiple times in these categories. So I have to choose my input range. So when you choose your input range in this two-factor ANOVA, you have to include the labels. And I want to include all the data, including the differential between sites. They're all year 1, so I don't want to include that part. I'm just including the site and then all the treatments, and I want to include the labels. Now, I need to pick rows per sample. Well, if I count how many times am I replicating the data within each site, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put here 5 rows per sample. In other words, this variable here is being repeated 5 times. The alpha 0.05, now I pick my output range. Make sure you click inside here before you click this button. Otherwise, it does it for the input range. So I click in here, I click here, and I'm going to choose my output range right there. And I click here to go back, and I'm ready to go. I hit OK. And it takes a little while to calculate. Here we go. Okay. So what I want to do up here on the top is a bunch of descriptive statistics for each of the variables. Here's site 1, site 2, and you have all the different categories of type of treatment. But what I want to do to get my test statistic and my p-value is to go down to the analysis of variance output down here. Now the sample is going to be the site. It's going to be those row variable, which is the site. The columns is going to be the treatments in this case. So I come across here, and the test statistic for the site is the 0.81218. The test statistic for the type of treatment is the 7.504 and so on. So what I want to then determine is the p-value in order to decide whether I reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Well, for the site, which in here is sample, the p-value is 0.374. Well, that's much greater than 5%. So I would fail to reject the null hypothesis. I have no evidence to suggest that site is a factor in the weights of the popular trees. Now, if I look at the treatment p-value, whether they got a treatment, they got fertilizer, irrigation, or both, well, in this case, the p-value is really small. It's 0.0006, which is much smaller than 0.05. So in this case, I do have evidence to suggest that there is an effect due to the factor of treatment. That what kind of treatment it gets does have an effect on the weight. We have significant statistical evidence to suggest that fact. Or at least one of the average is among the treatments, the average weights is not the same as the others. So this is how you run the two-factor ANOVA with replication in Microsoft Excel 2010.